In today's video we are going to take a closer look at not one but two knives made by South African knife maker Andrea de Villiers. So in my latest video I also showed one of my latest knives made by Andrea de Villiers, and that was the Savage, one of his more, in my opinion, traditional or classic ADV designs. What we have here on the table is the full-size Pitboss 2, which is one of his more recent designs. I did make a video some time ago showing the mini Pitboss 2, and that is a knife that I truly love. It is one of my favorite smaller sized folding knives, and it might actually be one of my favorite, like top 15 or something like that, top 10, top 15, I'm not sure. Favorite folder out of all of my folders, regardless of size category. And there are, some differences other than, sheer size between the full-size Pitboss 2 and the mini Pitboss 2. And I will say that I reckon that this is the original, like the full size, and then they made a mini Pitboss 2. Sounds most logical to me. But I think I'm gonna throw in a comparison part or segment in this video. But what I do have here is two different configurations of sorts of the full-size Pitboss 2. As always with Andre and his knives, they are made in batches, and sometimes there can be different types of steel. I mean, he uses M390, he uses CPM S35VN, he uses Burler M690, he uses D2, might be some other steels. So far I only have experience with the M390 and the S35VN. And the two knives here are going to be in S35VN. But one is going to be a coated blade, the other one is going to be a... oh, is it a satin or a bead blast? I think it is a bead blast finish. Then there's going to be some different inlays, etc. There's always quite a bit of variety to Andrea's knives. That much I can say. But let's start by doing a unboxing of both of the knives. Then we can go over some of the specifications, of course, some different design elements, details, ERGOS, just a overview of sorts. But I'm gonna start by unboxing these two. Here is, well, what I hope to be the satin version, because that is the one version that I kind of want to start with, and I have a 50% chance, so let's see. Okay, so this is a sticker that you will be receiving together with the knife. ADV tactical, yeah, not a whole lot to say about that. And I realize now that there's actually some text here under the plastic casing here, so I did pick the right one, but I could have made it easier to just read it before picking, a box at random. Anyways, this is the hard plastic casing that you get with the knives from ADV or Andrea these days. There was a time when you got them in a soft pouch like this. This is what you get now. I mean, it's going to be personal preferences, what you prefer the most. This plastic casing is a bit, bulky, takes up some extra space, but it is probably a more protective case. Probably shock-proof to a certain degree, and perhaps even waterproof to some degree. I am probably going to just remove the knife from this case and put it in a no-name, no-brand nylon pouch. To keep it a bit, to save some space storing the knife. But anyways, plastic casing, ADV logo on top. So we open it up and reveal the contents. This is what a Pitboss 2 full size looks like in the box. And it is obviously a button lock knife. We have the button lock here, we have the locking mechanism located there. So let's do like this. So let's see if we can get a good overview of the knife. Flip side. Let's test that's a guillotine, right? So you do have a flipper tab, but you might as well just... And I see why you have that that locking mechanism, because this is a, let's put it like this. That's a guillotine right there. Very fidget friendly, I would say. So this is the satin finish, or was it a bead blast? Yeah, this is a bead blast version, I would say. Titanium scales, blue G10 inlay. Also a bit of an inlay here in the actual button lock. Let's take a quick look at the other one in the other casing, and then we can focus on one of the two when we go over the specifications, the details, the ERGOS, and all that. But I just wanted to give you a first good view of this particular version. Yeah, also G10 inlay obviously on the pocket clip side. So let's unbox the other one as well. Same type of package, same type of sticker and everything. Let's throw that away and let's take a look at the knife. So here we have black titanium, jade G10 and a black coated blade. So let's remove it. So this knife definitely has a more, in my opinion, tactical look to it. I guess, you know, it's just, I mean, the black coated blade does give that effect in general, and then we have the black titanium and, well, the jade G10 as well. I mean, it just, I think this is a really nice combination. In general, I will say that I prefer, you know, a satin finish or a bead blasted finish, because you see the grind lines much easier, much better. And on a knife like this, you really want to see, you know, the compound grind, the swedge grind and everything. And that is not something that is easily distinguishable on a black coated blade. But I wanted to provide some variety in this video and also in my collection, which is why I got this one. So let's do some close-ups. Is this as much of a guillotine as the other? Yeah, pretty much. The way it should be. I mean, a button lock should be fall shutty like that, in my opinion. Then we do have the flipper tab, providing some pretty decent flipping action as well. But I think we will use the other version to go over specs and design and all like that, because it makes it easier to see the details. That being said, I mean, in person this knife looks quite nice. On video it might be more difficult to catch the actual look. So yeah, let's go with a bead blasted version for now. So what I'm gonna show here now is how I want my button locks to work in terms of opening and closing action, using the flipper tab and then of course the button locker to close the knife. Like, it is really fast, really swift, really smooth. You can listen to the sound if it's possible to get it. This is how it should be. Let's take a look at the other one as well. See how consistent the knife's impact are. But this is good stuff. So here we have the coated version of the knife. Let's test it out as well. I will say that other one is slightly snappier. This one, I'm not doing much with my wrist here really, but the other one is a pure guillotine. But this one is really, really good as well. Really good, not gonna lie. And I mean, there might be a break-in period as well, you know. But I would say that this works really smooth as well. Very, you know, fidget friendly. No doubt about it. Yeah. There is quite a lot going on with this knife, but I think we're gonna start with the specs, so we have that out of the way. So this is a large knife. The overall length of this knife is 250 millimeters, so it is 25 centimeters in total length, with a blade length of 110 millimeters, so 11 centimeters in blade length. The close length of this one is 140 millimeters. Like I said, it is a large knife. The blade thickness is 4.6 millimeters. Let's see if we can get a good look at the spine here. So it is a pretty, you know, stout blade. And that will also reflect in the weight of the knife, because this knife weighs 233 grams. So that is a bit of, you know, steel and titanium to carry around. No doubt about it. Like I mentioned, or maybe I failed to mention it, but the blade is CPM S35VN. I'm not sure if the full-size Pitboss 2 is actually offered in any other type of steel than that. So this is, as we've already, or as I have already mentioned quite a few times, a button lock knife, and the action is super, super nice in terms of, you know, opening and closing using the button. But there is also a flipper tab with some, actually some pretty snappy action to it. It's almost like a bit of a ricochet when you when you flip it open. See, the balance point of this bad boy is, right at the finger groove here, where it should be in my opinion. Well balanced knife. I wear size 10 in gloves. Placing the knife in my hand looks like this. You got a lot of space here. You can even get a full grip without using the first finger groove. So if you got large hands, this one should work just fine. Placing my thumb here on the jimping gives a nice secure grip. Not overly aggressive jimping, but definitely provides some friction. Let's try a reverse grip. It does feel pretty good in a reverse grip as well, should you ever have to use the knife in this sort of grip. Let's check the blade centering. So this knife is, I'm not gonna say 100%, or I'm gonna say 98% centered. It might not be visible here, may probably look like 100%. And I am very nitpicky, but I would say that, I'm gonna say like 98% centered, which is close enough, in my opinion. So let's see, do we have any blade play? No blade play. Very nice. So, what more should we look for out of the box? We're not gonna check the lockup because there is no lockup. I mean, it isn't a line lock, it isn't a frame lock, it is a button lock. So, nice action, nice ERGOS. Pocket clip here. This pocket clip is used on a variety of Andreas models, and the only criticism I've seen of this pocket clip, and that I know of myself, is that it is attached with only one screw. Had it been 2 screws, it would have been a bit more secure. There might, well, not on this one perhaps, but I've seen people being able to move it slightly, up and down due to it being fastened with just one screw. Something that is less visible is the roller bearing, whatever you call it here, under. Let's see. Maybe we should actually close the knife and do like that. There is a roller bearing beneath here that makes it easier to slip the knife in and out of your pocket, which I think is a pretty neat design, and that we have seen on quite a few of Andreas' other knife designs. We already spoke about how you can lock the knife and then disengage it, which might be a good thing since this is a guillotine. Not that I am really afraid of, hitting the button lock here while using the knife. It would be really unnatural to try to get to the button, but who knows what one might do. But it feels like it should never really be an issue. And on the mini Pitboss 2, there isn't even a lock to begin with, or a locking mechanism. There is of course a lock on the knife because it is a button lock, but no additional locking mechanism like on the full size. The grind here, it's actually a little bit of a fingerprint magnet. Did I bring my... No, I didn't bring anything to clean the knife with. That sucks. Or did I? Give me 1 second, I'm gonna clean up the blade just a little bit here. So there is a lot of interesting aspects to the blade here. As you can see, it is a compound grind. Got a bit of a swedge grind going on as well. Got a fuller. And we got this interesting ring hole design, which can also be utilized to open the knife as well. But I'm gonna stick with the flipper tab and, well, more so the button lock, since it is pretty satisfying to just use this to open and close the knife. But for those who like to finger flick open their knives using a hole design, well, you have the option on this one. So let's test the sharpness out of it next, I think. I almost forgot kind of an important segment of this video, and that is the comparison between the full-size Pitboss 2 and the mini Pitboss 2. And aside from the obvious, the sheer size difference, there are also some design elements that differ between the two versions. So we're gonna go with the bead blasted blue G10 inlay full-size Pitboss 2, the one knife that we've used for the most of the time in this video. And for the mini Pitboss 2, we're going to go with this one in purple polished titanium with marbled carbon fiber inlay and an M390 blade. I did show this in a previous video of mine, but that was like, I don't know, a year, maybe even longer ago. So this one looks like this. And I think I'm gonna start this comparison in the closed position with both knives. Here we have the full-size Pitboss 2 in closed position, measuring in at 140 millimeters, so 14 centimeters in close length. Whereas the mini, which we have over here, measures in at 115 millimeters in closed position. So let's place them a little like this, side by side. Let's do like this, because the knife closer to the camera will appear slightly larger compared to the other. So I think you get a pretty good idea of the size difference, which is about 2.5 centimeters in the closed position. And we can see right away here that there are some different design elements going on here. The most obvious one is this one, the locking mechanism of the button lock here, which is absent on the smaller mini Pitboss 2 here. And I guess that is because of limited size to implement such a extra security or locking mechanism like that. In terms of aesthetics, I think it looks, first off, I thought it looked better without the locking mechanism, but I've come to terms that it doesn't really look that bad. It actually looks kind of nice on the full size, but on the smaller one I think it would have looked kind of cramped to try to fit in a locking mechanism such as this one. But on the full size it just works, and it goes well together with the overall aesthetics. So I think they did a good call, even if it was even if they didn't really have a choice, to be completely honest. We can also see that there is a bit difference here in the hardware of the pivot screws here on the full size compared to the Mini. And I kind of think the full size looks a little bit nicer. This one has this more flat finish as well, whereas this one is a bit more, bulky or raised a bit. It's really gonna be quite difficult to see that. But I mean, I think both aesthetics works quite nice in their respective models. We can also take a look at the clip side here of the knives, which do share a bit more in common, since there are no large differences in design elements. So let's go for the open position now next. Here we have the full-size Pitboss 2, measuring in at 250 millimeters in total length, so that is 25 centimeters, with a blade length of 110 millimeters, which is 11 centimeters. So keep those numbers in mind now. 25 centimeters total length, 11 centimeters in blade length. So let's switch over to the Mini Pitboss 2. So this one is 205 millimeters in total length. That is 20.5 centimeters, which means that it is 4.5 centimeters shorter than the full-size Pitboss 2. The Mini Pitboss 2 features a blade length of 90 millimeters, which equals to 9 centimeters. So that means that the blade length is 2 centimeters shorter on the Mini compared to the full size. The spine of the Mini, let's bring in the full size as well here. So let's put them side by side here. I'm not sure if you can see, but there is actually a size difference in spine thickness, where the full size is 4.6 millimeters, whereas the Mini is 4.0. So the Mini is a bit scaled down in thickness as well, with 0.6 millimeters. Let's try to put them sort of side by side like this, to try to get a better understanding of the numbers. And I will switch side as well, because the one closer to the camera will appear slightly larger than the other. This is what they look like side to side. We can also go flip side as well. Let's see. So, let's see, like this. And perhaps like this as well. Hopefully you get a slightly better understanding than just the numbers when you see them like this. So let's perhaps talk a little bit about the ERGOS of each individual knife. So the full size, yeah, you do have quite a bit of grip area. This is a very comfortable knife, I've got to say that, and I've already mentioned it previously in the video. But for those jumping to this segment right away for the comparison, I will say that this has some really great ERGOS. I wear size 10 in gloves, placing the hand in my hand, looks like this. Lots of area to grip around. Placing your thumb here on the thick spine and the nicely done jimping. It is very nice. So switching over to the Mini. This knife melts into my hand. I do remember that when I made my review of this one some time ago, I did put a lot of emphasis on the ERGOS. So this is a small knife, and I have slightly large hands. Even so, the knife fits my hand like a glove. But if you have slightly larger hands than my size 10 hands, then it might actually get a bit cramped. I mean, you do have this, contouring here, finger contouring, which can sometimes be, a bit of a gamble when you buy a knife, especially a smaller knife, but even with larger size knives as well. And I mean, this contouring is, you'd have the same contouring on the full size version as well, but you do have a lot more room for those with larger hands. So if you are unsure about which knife to go with, I mean, if you do have large hands, then your best bet might be going with a full size. But if you can, get a chance to try it out, or I mean, if your hands are around the size 10, then the Mini might actually be, quite a nice fit for you. So great ERGOS on both knives, definitely. And in a reverse grip, let's try to put them in a reverse grip as well. I don't use my knife in a reverse grip very often, but there might be those who do. And this is what it looks like, and it feels actually quite nice, both of them in their respective reverse grips. We have now reached the first and perhaps only sharpness test we'll do in this video. And it's going to be some paper slicing. We're going to slice some regular printing paper. I think most people know what that is. And also newspaper, which is quite a bit different, in terms of texture or whatever you want to call it. So 2 types of paper, 2 types of challenges. And we're going to start with the printing paper. So printing paper first, and I'm actually gonna put the Mini Pitboss 2 to some use here, because this one came really sharp, and I want to see how the sharpness has held up. I mean, I do maintain my knives, but haven't done any real sharpening to this one. It's M390 as well, so as reference, this one was super sharp, and it is still, you can see, still quite sharp to this date. I mean, you've got to love the edge retention of M390, right? So, let's try the new ones, shall we? So, new piece of paper, and then we can go with the bead blasted first. So, let's make sure it's visible in the camera. So, this one does feel pretty sharp as well. Yeah, this one will slice printing paper, no doubt about it. And since I do have 2 of this model, we should perhaps try the other one as well, see how that one performs. Let's go with a new piece of paper for that one. So, okay. This was actually even sharper than the bead blasted. I mean, both of them are sharp knives, but this one was, I can just feel that this one is slightly sharper. Oops. Yeah, I mean, they are both slicing printing paper with ease. Really good job. So next up we have some pieces of, or pages of newspaper, and we're not going to slice them all, but I will start with the Mini Pitboss 2 again, just for some, reference of sorts. So let's put those away and see how well this one does with newspaper. I mean, this is almost the way I remember it when I did my testing for the review out of the box. And I mean, I put it to some use since then, but the edge retention of M390 is pretty impressive, so and it will obviously slice the newspaper quite nicely. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty good, I'd say. I mean, it slices up the newspaper nicely. Let's see if the full-size versions can do just as good as this one. So let's start with the BEAD Blast version, full-size Pitboss 2. So far so good. Yeah, so I mean, it will slice the newspaper quite nicely. I reckon that the black coated version will do an even better job, so let's see. So let's go with the black coated blade next, that I felt was slightly sharper than the bead blasted version when I did the regular paper slicing. So we will see how the performance is now cutting some newspaper. And yeah, I mean, I can notice right away that there is a difference in the sharpness, in the how clean the cuts are. I'm not sure what that is, English word is. Cleanliness, I don't know, but this one cuts clean. It is sharp, no doubt about it. So sliced up the newspaper quite nicely. So both of the knives, or well, all three, if we are throwing in the mini Pitboss 2 into the mix as well. I mean, they're all sharp knives. I'm not sure which is actually the sharpest of them. I would reckon that it is this one perhaps. But they are all slicing paper nicely, no doubt about it. We have now reached the final part of this video review, showing the full-size or regular size Pitboss 2 made by South African knife maker Andrea de Villiers. In this video we took a close look at this specific one with a bead blast finish and blue G10 inlays. We also took a closer look at this one, which is a black titanium, natural G10 inlays and black coated blade. This definitely has a bit more of a tactical feel or look to it compared to the bead blasted version. And I will say that it's not that I got this knife just to show some variety in the video. No, I originally got this one first. But upon arrival, and when I picked it up and started messing around with it, I realized that hey, this is a really cool model. They seem to be selling pretty fast also, so if I want one more I should probably pull the trigger right away on another, and this is the one that I decided to go with. Also to add a bit of variety to the video, but mainly because I fell in love with the model itself. There were a few nice ones with titanium frag inlays, like a full titanium scales. But those sold out rather fast, and I just wasn't fast enough that time around. So if they show up again, I will definitely pick one up. That is how much I enjoy this knife. So aside from these two, we also took a look at the mini Pitboss 2, which in some sense is the knife that started my love for the Pitboss 2 series. Then again, I mean, when I picked this one up, I felt like this is the one knife. I don't need a smaller one, I don't need a bigger one. This is the one, right? And I also wasn't too I wasn't really into the locking mechanism here. Oh, well, it's absent here because it's not there on the mini, but I wasn't into that on the full-size version. So I felt like, yeah, I'm gonna stick with the smaller one. But my curiosity got over me, and well, this batch was with the full-size Pitboss 2s were released, and there were some really good ones, good-looking ones in that batch. So I decided to pull the trigger, and right now I don't even know which one I like the most anymore. If I have to pick one, I mean, I don't feel like I have to pick between the two, but if I had to, it would be a difficult choice because they are really great knives in their own, respective ways. That much I can say. So, and I do like the design choices, that were done in each respective version, like going with a slightly thinner spine on the Mini, and skipping the locking lock mechanism thing here as well, even though that might have been out of necessity due to limited space of the handle. But a fantastic knife, definitely in my top. I love this one. But that I can also say about the full size Pitboss 2 here, because it's just it is an amazing design. It has everything I want, from, you know, the overall looks to the ERGOS to the snappy action. I mean, it's just, and there's level of sharpness as well. Really sharp knife. Although, as my testing showed, this one does have an upper hand in sharpness compared to this one, but they are both very sharp knives nonetheless. ERGOS spot on, standard grip, reverse grip. It's just, you know, it has everything I want in a knife. And it looks so, excuse my phrasing here, but it looks so damn good. I realize now that I should probably have thrown in some other comparisons in this video, showcasing it together with the Alpha and the Alpha S. And if I owned a Javelin, I would have showed it together with the Javelin as well, but I do not. But what these knives have in common with each other, the Javelin, the Alpha and the Alpha S and the Pitboss 2 here, is that they share the same handle. Then there are some differences in blade design. The regular Alpha has a recurve blade. The Alpha S does not have a recurve, but it has some other, you know, proportions to the or dimensions with the compound grind. And then the Javelin, for example, it has no ring hole here. It has a thumb stud instead, and a bit different grinding as well. And some of these knives are semi-serrated, others are not. I'm not sure if the Pitboss 2 was ever offered with a partially serrated blade, but I am usually against serrations. But I will admit that one of my Alphas does have a partial serration. Anyways, enough about that. I should probably make a comparison video, like a standalone comparison video with the Pitboss 2, the Alpha, Alpha S and Javelin. I'll make that in the semi-near future. So, what more can I say now? Is there anything that I would have done different with this model? On top of my head, no, but I guess that, you know, like with the Mini Pitboss 2 that has a M390 blade, sure, I wouldn't have minded this one with an M390 blade. That would have been an upgrade compared to the S35VN. Then again, S35VN, when done correct, is a really good steel, so definitely not an issue. I've seen some people complain about the pocket clip here being held with only one screw, that 2 screws would have made it more secure and, you know, unable to move it. I haven't been able to move it really, but I don't think this is going to, you know, be an issue in any way. But would I have mind 2 screws instead of 1 to secure the pocket clip? I mean, yeah, sure, why not? But it's not a big deal. So overall, this knife is just one of those knives that I've fallen in love with, kind of the instant that I got it. It is what I like to refer to as, you know, the complete package. And I do like compound grind blades as well. Oh, another minor nitpick. I mean, the bead blast looks great in this configuration, but a satin finish would have been, you know, quite nice as well. Maybe in the future, who knows. I do like the variety Andrea is putting out in his different models. There's always something for everyone. Variety is nice. So I think that's it for my final thoughts and conclusions. I mean, if you like what you see here in terms of like general design, then it is, in my opinion, a no-brainer. You can expect a super sharp blade, snappy action, guillotine, guillotine blades, and great ERGOS. Useful blade profiles as well. I mean, sure, these knives have sort of a tactical look to it, and I mean, yeah, they could be a little bit combat oriented perhaps, but it's also a very, practical blade design in my opinion. A versatile knife. So yeah, I think it is, to me, this is a no-brainer. The question now is, do you want the mini or do you want a full size or do you want both? That is probably the hardest question.